שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב. יאללה, יאללה, לה, 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 לה. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב. יאללה, יאללה, לה, 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 לה. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. Shabbat Shalom. It's wonderful to be celebrating Shabbat with you tonight here in person, or if you're joining us over the live stream. We begin our service together on the top of page 3 with the responsive reading. Each person present tonight is a valuable link in the chain of healing. Each person helps us to create a sacred place which holds the possibility for greater wholeness, even in the midst of pain and suffering.
We are all in need of healing. No one is perfectly whole. We may be racked by physical illness. We may be plagued by emotional pain. Our souls may be in turmoil. A loved one may be suffering. We may be in mourning. In some way, our body, our mind, our soul is in need of healing. That is our human condition.
Through prayer and poetry, song and readings, and most importantly, by creating a community where we offer one another strength, we pray that we will all come away better able to face the journey we must walk.
Sometimes the journey leads us to the dark night. Sometimes the journey moves us beyond ourselves toward an embracing community and a comforting faith.
Rabbi Nachman of Bratslav, a Hasidic master beset by his own demons, taught that a human being reaches in 3 directions: inward to self, outward to other people, and upward to God. The real secret, he taught, is that the 3 are one. When we truly connect with self, we can then reach out to help others.
When we truly reach out to others, we can come to truly know God.
So we continue on the top of page 4. We're going to learn a bit of a psalm together. You can see the English translation of this psalm. Out of the narrow straits of distress I have called out to God. God answered me with wide open spaces, setting me free. So the second word, hametzar, has the same Hebrew root as mitzrayim, right? For the word for Egypt, this narrow place. So sometimes we might feel like there's so many constraints, so much uncertainty, right? Where are we supposed to go? What are we supposed to do? We feel kind of trapped with all of this. To have this prayer from our ancestors reminding us that even in those moments when we feel just so trapped, that there will be this moment of enjoying freedom once again. So if you want to try to sing along with me, I'll try to break the song down bit by bit. Min hametzar karatia. Let's try that line. Min hametzar karatia, anani v'merchavya. Anani v'merchavya. All right, now we'll try all that Hebrew together. Min hametzar karatia, anani v'merchavya. One more time, everything. Min hametzar karatia, anani v'merchavya. And then the next part goes, we say the word anani a lot. Anani, anani, anani v'merchavya. Try that. Anani, anani, anani v'merchavya. Let's try from the beginning. Min hametzar karatia, anani v'merchavya. Min hametzar karatia, anani v'merchavya. Excellent for our first time singing it through. So we continue with the responsive reading on the same page, God of Compassion. For those of us who feel frightened, and for those of us who feel angry, for those of us who feel sad, and those of us who feel guilty, and for those of us who feel anxious, and for those of us who feel bitter. For those of us who feel overwhelmed, and for those of us who feel numb, for those of us who feel helpless, and those of us seeking answers, and those of us searching for hope, and those of us too scared to hope. For those of us bathed in tears, and for those of us to whom tears do not come, for those of us who voice the anguish of our feelings, and those of us caught in caverns of silence, for those of us grieved by the pain in our loved ones' eyes, and those of us grieved by the pain of isolation. So I'd like to invite up Sarah and Maggie to light our Shabbat candles this week on page 5.
May the light of these Shabbat candles banish gloom, anxiety, and worry from our hearts. May this Shabbat bring us peace, serenity, and some much-needed rest. Keep aglow within us, O God, the hope that soon our burdens will be lighter, and we will discover new reasons to rejoice in life. You are the source of all light. We look to you for strength and hope. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lechadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. At this point in our service, we think of the week that has passed, and we hold on to any of the good things that we experienced. So if you have some good news to share, just a moment that inspired gratitude, I invite you to share that joy with the community now. Yeah, Pat?
My nephew who's a Marine was in Africa and he just got back to the United States. Was glad to see he didn't get to what's happening.
Glad he's safe.
My grandson started college yesterday.
Oh, Mazel Tov. Very exciting.
I had a birthday.
Happy birthday, Ed. Awesome. Yeah, Sarah?
We finalized our conversion process yesterday.
Yay, Mazel Tov. So we thank God for all these blessings, including the blessing of simply being alive for this moment in time, the words of Shehechianu at the bottom of page 5. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Ah, ah, amen. And we continue reading responsively on page 6. God, give us the strength. God, give us the strength to transcend setbacks and pain, to put our difficulties into perspective. God, give us the strength to take the path less traveled and more complex. May we abandon none of your creations. May our own personal pain never be used as an excuse to stop heeding your call. Let us always strive to give, even if we ourselves feel alone and impoverished. We continue with Lechado D on page 10. Lechado di ligrat kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Lechado di ligrat kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Lechado di ligrat kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Lechado di likrat kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad, Hishmianu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'shemo tiferet v'litila. Lechado di likrat kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Lechado di likrat kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki hi mekor habracha, merosh mikadem nesucha, sof maaseh b'machshava tchila. Lechado di likrat kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Lechado di likrat kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Hitoreri, kiva orech kumiori, uri shir daberi, kivod Adonai alaich nigla. Lechado di likrat kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Lechado di likrat kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. We rise together and face the entrance to symbolically welcome in the presence of Shabbat. Boi v'shalom ateret bala, gam b'simcha u'b'tzola, toch emunei am segula, boi chala, boi chala. Lechado di likrat kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Lechado di likrat kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. And we remain standing for the Baruch Hu, the top of page 11. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Please be seated. Continue with Ma'ariv Aravim. Creator, I have been in such dark places a flashlight was useless. I have felt fear no words could comfort me. I seemed lost, and yet, through your compassion and loving kindness, I am here now. Blessed are you, the guardian of all, who carries me to a safe place. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. And we continue with some of the Hebrew from that prayer with Roll into Dark, top of page 12. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. We continue at the top of page 13. Reflection before the Shema. One is not alone. One is unity together. Help me to know, O God, that I am not alone. Give me the courage to reach out to others when I need help. Grant me the humility to ask for and the grace to accept the support that others have to offer. Hear my prayer, O God, and remind me that I am not alone at this challenging time. We rise as one community for the Shema at the bottom of page 13. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuta Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuta Le'olam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Please be seated. Page 14. V'yahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uv'lechtecha v'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha ug'shartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha uchtavtam hamezuzot beitecha u'visharecha man tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai Vitem kadoshim lelohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Asher hotzeiti adchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lihiyot lachem lelohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem. We continue at the top of page 16. Liberation. The exodus from Egypt, Yetziat Mitzrayim, is a journey we must take each day. We can be liberated, mitzarim, from the narrow places of our lives whenever we confront and transcend the limitations which have been imposed upon us through no choice of our own. When we can move from why me to what now, and begin to look up from the mud beneath our feet, past the towering waters which seem to engulf us, we will then catch a glimpse of the distant shores of hope ahead and sing a new song of redemption. We continue with Micha Mocha. Ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la la ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la la ya la 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 ya la 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 la. Micha mocha ba'elim Adonai, Micha mocha neta b'kodesh, Nora tehilot osefele, Nora tehilot osefele. And we continue with Vishamru, the top of page 17. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת דורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. And we continue with the responsive reading on page 17. Help me to pray. Teacher of prayer, Holy One, open your lips within me, for I cannot speak. Too often the world has stifled all words of blessing within me. Help me, for I have been so very low, and you heal the broken in spirit and joy. In your compassion, in your boundless love, give me words of prayer, then accept them from you. May my words, your words, be sweet and whole before you as the words of King David, sweet singer of psalms. Transform my sorrow, you who heal the brokenhearted. Help me to renew my faith, my hopes, and I raise my soul toward you. Please rise for our central prayer, the Amidah, page 18. Adonai sefatai tiftachu fi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, v'Elohei Rachel, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, U'Mevi Geula Lifnei V'neihem, L'ma'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Hozer U'Moshiach U'Magin. Baruch atah Adonai, Magin Avraham v'Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei Hakol, Atah Rav Lehoshia, Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed, Mechayei Hakol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim V'Rofech Olim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Baal Geburot, Domelach, Melech Memit Umechaye, Umatmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah l'chayot ha'kol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei ha'kol. Please be seated. We continue with a quiet moment for personal prayer or reflection. Page 22. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech adon, lechol hashalom. Shalom, Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. V'tov be'einecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael. B'chol עת ובכל שעה, בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. Tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. This brings us to our Torah service on page 25. If we have anyone under the age of 13 who'd like to help with our Torah procession tonight, I invite you to come up to the bema now, and everyone else please rise as we open the ark doors. For our aliyah this evening, I'd like to invite up Margaret Sequeira. Ta'amod Yisrael bat Avraham v'Sara levarech et haTorah.
Baruch Hu Adonai Hamvara.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvara le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bar karbanu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah. Amen.
Lo tireh et shor achicha o et seyo nidachim v'hit alamta mehem. You shall not see the ox or the sheep of your sibling wandering off and ignore it. Hashev shivim le'achicha. You shall surely return it to your sibling. Ve'im lo karov achicha elecha. And if your sibling is nowhere near you, v'lo yadato, or you don't know who they are, ve'asafto el toch beitecha. You shall collect the animal within your household. V'haya imcha ad darosh achicha oto, and keep it with you until your sibling goes looking for it. v'hashev to, lo. And at that point, then you return it to them. V'chein ta'aseh l'chamoro, v'chein ta'aseh l'simlato, v'chein ta'aseh l'chol avedat achicha asher tovad mimenu umtzata. And thus shall you do with his donkey, or their donkey, and you shall do with their garment, and you shall do with any object that your sibling loses and you find. Lo tuchal lihit alem. You're not supposed to just ignore it. Lo tire et chamor achicha, o shoro noflim baderech, v'hit alam tamehem. And you shall not watch or see the donkey or ox of your sibling falling down on the road and just ignore it. Hakem takim imo. You shall surely stop and help your sibling lift that animal.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nateh b'voteinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
So at this point in our service, we think with the Torah in our midst, we think of loved ones who are in need of healing. Tonight we think especially of Beth Levine, Rabbi Jerry Levy, Jean Sanders, and Sue Shires. Are there other loved ones whose healing we wish to pray for tonight? With the power of community, we pray for their refuah shlema, their healing of body and or spirit, with the words of Mishaberach at the bottom of page 27. Mishaberach avotenu, mikor habracha limotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach imotenu, mikor habracha le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. And we invite up Elliot Barnett to lift the Torah, and Rachel and Shoshana to help dress the Torah. Please rise as the Torah is lifted. Please be seated. For my first year of rabbinical school, I rented an apartment in Jerusalem with a roommate who was studying to be a cantor. We were both fresh out of college and had never even rented our own apartments in America. But here we were trying to figure out this major milestone of early adulthood while living in another country halfway across the globe. One of the first lessons we learned was just because you can write an academic paper in Hebrew does not mean you should try to argue in Hebrew with the only company that can provide you with internet access. We discovered that it's best to seek assistance from an Israeli friend who knows not only more Hebrew words related to internet access, but also the cultural nuances of negotiating with a local internet company. The second major lesson we learned that year was how to reset the circuit breaker. While luxury apartments were being built up the street, we were in an older building that had an electrical circuit which would shut down any time we tried to use multiple appliances at the same time. If one of us was trying to heat some water for tea in an electric kettle while the other was trying to use a hairdryer, we would both immediately find ourselves in the darkness. The first time this happened, we called our landlord, who seemed a little annoyed at our ignorance as she explained what a circuit breaker was, where to find it, and how to reset it. This week, I think a lot of us may be feeling overwhelmed like the electrical circuit in that old Jerusalem apartment. First, we heard disappointing news about COVID surges. Then we heard even worse news about the trajectory of climate change. Those were already like appliances competing for the last bit of our mental energy. And then we heard about the devastating earthquake in Haiti and the heartbreaking situation in Afghanistan. All of this devastation, combined with so many forms of prolonged uncertainty, has overloaded many of our metaphorical circuits. And as a result, many people have been feeling hopeless, overwhelmed, numb, or guilty for not being able to do more to help right now. We know, and the Torah constantly reminds us, that it is important to have empathy for others. We carry with us the memories from many generations ago of what it meant to be slaves in Egypt. We know what it's like to suffer, and we want to do everything in our power to ease the suffering of others. But what can we do when it feels like we have run out of power? Like our brains are just so overwhelmed with everything going on that our metaphorical circuits have shut down. Do we just give up? Or is there some path that we can still take to bring about healing? While it is totally normal to feel defeated and depleted in such stressful situations, we don't have to give up completely. There is a path to healing, which must be traveled one step at a time. Step one is to find our circuit breakers and reset them. We need to take a break from the depressing news and replenish ourselves spiritually and emotionally. Let's take a deep breath, have a good cry, and utter a heartfelt prayer. Once we have expressed the anguish of this moment, we can start to make room for other feelings. We can reconnect with comfort and joy by watching something funny, petting something furry, or just going outside and feeling the sunshine on our skin. Step two is once we have given ourselves a chance to reset, a Shabbat or a substantial break of some kind, then we can figure out how many appliances our circuits are able to sustain at one time. Some people can go out there and tackle multiple issues at once, but most of us have to really focus on just one or two things right now, especially as our energy resources have been running lower as a result of the ever-changing pandemic. So maybe instead of trying to tackle global warming, earthquake relief, and the Taliban all at once, we pick just one thing to be our main appliance at this moment. We find the same wisdom in this week's Torah portion, Ki Teitzei, which talks about when we see an animal that falls down in the path in front of us. Basically, this verse says when we are going about our lives, just walking down the road, and we see a donkey or ox falling over as they struggle to carry a heavy load, we should stop in that moment and help that animal. The Torah doesn't say we need to walk along every road on the earth looking for every single donkey or ox that may have possibly fallen somewhere. It only says to help the ones we see struggling on the path in front of us. One of the blessings and curses of modern life is that we are so connected through the internet and media that we are constantly seeing and hearing about tragedies all over the world. Our brains are like electrical circuits that can only handle so much information at one time. That's why so many of us feel overwhelmed in weeks like these. We were designed to see and help those who have fallen in front of us. Our necks and eyes were not built to see in all directions simultaneously. We've got to focus on one thing at a time. Let's say we decide to focus right now. The thing we focus on now is helping the most vulnerable people escape from Afghanistan to safer living situations. Focusing on this one project doesn't mean we don't care about the people in Haiti. One person simply cannot do everything. As a global society, we have got to delegate. We need some people helping in Haiti, some people helping in Afghanistan, some people helping right here in America. As my former roommate and I discovered while setting up our internet, it is much more efficient and effective to have someone who knows more about the situation handle the details. We cannot all be experts in every field. That's why instead of personally going to Haiti to dig through the rubble, we can be more effective by supporting an organization like American Jewish World Service, which already has people on the ground with the skills to find and rescue people after earthquakes. Or for another example of effective delegation, instead of personally handing a tube of toothpaste to each refugee from Afghanistan who's currently staying at Fort Lee, we can donate to a group effort that will make sure that the refugees have toothpaste and everything else they need to live decently while they are here, just 30 miles down the road from us. Our dear friends, neighbors, and longtime interfaith partners at the Islamic Center of Virginia are already organizing an effort to purchase and deliver much-needed supplies like toothpaste, soap, diapers, clothing, and more to Afghani refugees. Rather than inefficiently duplicating their efforts, let us help them build the most effective program possible to meet the needs of our fellow human beings who are struggling at this moment. Every little bit helps when we combine our efforts together. Even when our metaphorical circuits are overloaded with global turmoil and uncertainty, let us remember and engage in the two-step method of healing. Step 1, rest and reset. Step 2, focus on just one thing at a time. Following this method together, may we bring about healing not only for ourselves, but also for countless others across the world. And let us say, Amen. So I'd like to invite up Lori to make some brief announcements on behalf of the board.
Welcome to all of you who are here in person and to those who are watching on the live stream. First, I would like to thank Rabbi Yehuve for that very powerful and much needed message. I know I'm struggling, and I know a lot of people, as she said, are as well. Thank you. Got a few things coming up this weekend. Tomorrow there will be the DVD and cookbook sale at the home of Art Seidenberg at 3300 Patterson Avenue. Thank you to those of you who donated cookbooks, DVDs, and CDs. That will be tomorrow starting at 7:30 in the morning. For those of you who want to do that and attend Torah service, you could get an early jump on the sale and then come back over here to ORME or click on virtually for Torah study. Just like with the services, people are required to be vaccinated to come to Torah study, and for the time being, there is no sharing of food. Next week is our second sale, the yard sale that Joel Moses has organized, and that will be here at ORME outside, and there will be a rain date. Given how much rain we've been having lately, who knows what's going to happen next Saturday, but there will be a rain date for that. And I think those are the highlights of most the upcoming things. And of course, the holidays, the high holidays are just around the corner. If you haven't seen the weekly update yet, please pay attention to that because there is information about how we'll be running the services this year here at ORME. And there is a sign-up link. We are asking that people choose one service to attend. If there's room, after the sign-up closes next Friday, the 27th, we'll open it back up, and then people can sign up for additional services. Does anyone have anything else tonight? Okay. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom.
We continue our service together with Aleinu on page 29. Please rise for the Aleinu prayer. Aleinu leshabeach la'adon hakol, latet gdula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu kegoye haratot, velo samanu kemishbechot adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, vegoralenu kechol hamonam, va'anachnu korim, umishtachavim umodim, lifnei melech, malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, v'ne'emar v'haya Adonai, lemelech al kol haaretz, bayom hahu, yiyeh Adonai echad, u'shemo, echad. Please be seated. At this point in our service, we remember those who have passed away recently or at this time in years past. Tonight we remember with love Matthew Nigro, stepfather of Alyssa Freeman, Julie Bell, cousin of Jane Katz, Susie Burnside, longtime member of ORME, Hyman Cohen, grandfather of Erica Napolitano, Gay Cook, sister of Russ Jennings, Irene Fisher, mother of Ellen Hoffheimer, and Minnie George, aunt of Art Matz. Are there other loved ones we wish to remember tonight? Zichronam livracha, may their memories always be a blessing. We rise as a community of support for the Mourners Kaddish on page 31. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, b'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uvyomechon uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam olomei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, V'yit hadar, v'yit aleh, v'yit halal, shemei dekudesha b'richu, le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechamata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. May the source of peace and bring peace to all who mourn, and may we be a source of comfort for all who are bereaved, and let us say amen. Please be seated. We conclude our service tonight with Oseh Shalom on page 32. Oseh Shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, imru, amen. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Shalom Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you to Patricia and for everyone who had an honor in the service. If you would please return your handouts to the table near the entrance and then join us near the back for some for Kiddush and Motzi.